Oh, hello.
I'm Ross Campbell, and I'm a survivor of prostate cancer. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Prost Exercise Group and a little bit of the history that I have with regards to surviving prostate cancer. I'd like to say I've just finished a bit of exercise, and you saw me doing some stretching, just a little bit of stretching there. And now I'm going to have my vegetable juice that I have every morning, which really helps me keep healthy and not so much wealthy and wise. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Prost, its history, and the benefits of being involved in a structured class. Dr. Joe Millios, a physiotherapist, saw a need for men's health and particularly to do with prostate cancer. She commenced a PhD some years ago and used the Prost members as a group of people to do her research. Her research was in men's health, obviously, prostate cancer and pelvic floor strengthening to, excuse me, to particularly help with strengthening the pelvic floor after the procedure of prostatectomy, brachytherapy, hormonal therapy or radiation. And so nearly 8 years ago, she started Prost Exercise for Prostate Cancer Incorporated. Jo has had her academic papers published, which is a very special thing, and we're very, very proud of her. So I was diagnosed in 2013 with prostate cancer, and prior to that, my GP had taken my PSA or given me a PSA test and a digital rectal examination each year. Things changed a little, and the doctor who, after performing DRE, and let's just say a little discomfort does help with the comfort in the future, found that the prostate gland had hardened a little bit, and he sent me off to see my urologist, who performed similar DRE and looked at my tests and the notes from my GP. He said there's definitely something there, but at this point there's nothing to do. And I was sent away for about 5 years, having my annual PSA and DRE, and eventually my GP, a slight change again in your prostate gland. Your PSA has risen just a little bit. Let's go back to the urologist and work from there, see what we need to do. So, so then the urologist sent me off for gave me a biopsy and sent that off to the pathologist, and the pathology came back that I was a Gleason 6, 3+3, which meant that I was caught early, and I'm very pleased about that, and I thank my GP and the urologist for the great work they did in the early days. So after I was diagnosed and before my operation, I obviously went round and tried to find out as much about cancer and what was going to happen to me in the next short while. And I spoke to a lot of friends and people who were referred to me as having gone through prostate cancer and some procedure, or excuse me. And so one of my mates who'd also had a prostatectomy, suggested that I go and see Joe Millios, which I did. And she tested me and talked me through what I needed to do, and found that my pelvic floor was weak and had no stamina. So she suggested that I join this group that she had started called Prost, Exercise for Prostate Cancer. Prost is conducted with a qualified exercise physiologist in a structured manner to mean that you're going through different stretching or exercise such as cardio, aerobic, and weight bearing, always mixed up each time that we went or go, and that keeps it from being boring. It's certainly not at Prost, and you can see the banner behind me. I'm proudly able to say that I'm involved with them and enjoy it very, very much. There are two unfortunate effects of prostatectomy. They are urinary incontinence and erectile dysfunction. What does that mean? Well, urinary incontinence is when you can't hold back the urine properly. You might dribble a little bit, or you can have an unfortunate situation where you either have to wear a nappy or wear a pad to maintain some sort of comfort. So, of course, we don't want that. We want to try and improve your pelvic floor, and with the idea of resisting that dribble or even more. And so then, of course, erectile dysfunction, which means that your erection is not hard enough to penetrate your partner, and well, that just means you can't have them. Well, that was 7 years ago for me. And I'm still exercising at the gym, and you'd have to ask why. Well, excuse me, Prost's mantra is mood, muscle, and mateship. I go to the gym 2 times a week, on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and after the gym, most of us go to a coffee shop and have a coffee and a chin wag, and surprising what come out. The mateship or camaraderie at Prost is. I really love watching a new chum come into Prost and watch them go from being a little concerned about what this group is about, and what it's going to mean for them. I can remember my first day when I was standing alone and listening to a group of men talking about their preferred method of injecting their penises, and the graphic discussion and the ease at which this conversation went was quite enlightening, and I thought a group of people, and they're my type. So I know for me, and I would suggest for the majority of others, that you're a bit isolated. You got these feelings. You have got these issues, and coming to Prost been a real godsend for me. And there's a very strong core group of men who come to Prost. I think we have something like 170 people on our books who receive emails from Prost, keeping them up to date in terms of information. And of those, there would be about 50 active members. It's surprising to me that we have 170, but only 50 active. Some people have gone on to other gyms. Some people are dry and comfortable with where they're at. Some have moved out of Perth, where I'm from. And so I'm very pleased to say that Prost is a very strong not-for-profit group with some men staying a couple of months, some staying a year or two, and then some, like me, become long-termers. And there are other reasons why people give up. They may be deteriorating in health. They may be through chemo, hormonal, radiation treatment, and they don't feel up to it. And I'd like to change that around, because exercise has been shown to be very effective in helping those people get well, keep up their strength more so by exercising. So the the age group at Prost varies really from, say, mid-50s through to early 80s, and and of course some of those have comorbidities. Others are caring for their own partners, and it's a great place for them to be able to express their feelings and get well at the same time. So why is exercise so good for you? The evidence has shown, and particularly lately, that exercise will help men and women who are going through procedures such as chemotherapy to improve the efficacy of that chemotherapy, and also to give them a sense of doing something good, by exercising with someone who's a format. And so at that, I say, on your bike and pedal for your health. So what sort of exercises? As I said earlier, it's stretching, aerobic, cardio, strengthening, and including pelvic floor exercises. Prost operates on 2 gym sessions a week, 2 venues. One is in a local football club, and the other is at UWA, and they are operated by Ben Botner at Subi and Ben Kramer at UWA. The sessions are structured and relevant to prostate cancer, and of course our EPs do work it through so that you're not being bored and you've got something to work towards with a structured plan. You're working within a group, but you're not on your own. At Subiaco or at Leadable, we mainly we do our pelvic floor exercises individually, and some other warming up exercises individually. But then when we get into the gym proper, we tend to work in pairs, and I find that works very well. And it's on a basis. Start off on the bike, go to a row, then you might do some iron, you may do some different exercises, balance exercises. I've mentioned balance. That's a very important part of us getting older, and so during that period, while you're working with someone else you either not known for a long time, or in my case, and with those who've been there a long time, you get to talk to them about their particular issues and where they're at and where you are at, so that it's a nice conversation. And I think I just have to say that mood, muscle, and mateship has just become so important. And I would love to see these spread out across Australia. And any of you are interested in exercising and you're involved with the group or you want to start a group, we have produced a video. The video has been broken up into 3 sections. One video is it's the blue one here. It's for the everyday man. It's not only got the video of the exercises we go through, but it's also got complementary documentation that gives you the reason why and the best way of doing that. Then we have the black one, and we've only made them in different colours because I'd get confused without it. And this one is for PCFA group leaders who would like to get something started. And let me also say at this point, if you do want to do this, we do have these available. There will be a small cost, or if we are lucky enough, there's a possibility of a donor who will make it so that we can give these away free. And then the third one is for the health professionals. That's the white one, and it's for clinicians, and it's got a lot more technical information for physiotherapists, exercise physiologists, maybe GPs. It's been absolutely fabulous going through this. It's taken us a long time to put together. We are volunteers and we are a not-for-profit. But I would just like to say, of those who put this together, thank you very much to Joe Millios. Thank you very much to Ben Botner, and thank you very much to Ben Kramer, and lastly but not leastly, to Harry Miller of Spectrum TV Productions, who put together and did all the editing for us. He put a lot more in than he got paid for, I can tell you. He's a wonderful man. So I've said very little about erectile dysfunction, but yesterday I went to the launch of The Penis Project, which is a series of podcasts put together by the Never Let Grass Grow Under Your Feet, Joe Millios, and her business partner, Melissa Hadley Barrett. They went through what the podcast is all about in this launch. They gave out some clues as to what you can find on their website and listening to the podcasts. And there are things like shortening of the penis after a prostatectomy, buried penis, peyronie's, which is bending of the penis and bending in some cases so much that sexual intercourse is not possible. So that can be found at www.thepenisproject.org. And as Melissa said yesterday, that .org is really about the organ. So there we go. Now, exercise and particularly my time in Prost, as I've said earlier, has become a very important part of my life. I gained so much from exercise and the health benefits, both mental and physical, and the camaraderie, including the coffee, gym sessions, and joining a family of like-minded men. And did I mention family? Well, I would just say I'm blessed with a supportive wife and family, and without whom I would be lost in the world. So thank you for listening to my story. I will now show a short teaser video of our exercises for you to look at, and we look forward to hearing from you, requesting the video from the wonderful exercise group who put this video together, and thank you to PCFA for all your support.
is Dr. Joe Millios. Originally, I started off as a physiotherapist working just in musculoskeletal or everyday physiotherapy. But about 15 years ago, my brother, who's a urologist, invited me to work with him in his prostate cancer clinic. And there I discovered a whole new world, that in fact, men were really suffering with incontinence and erectile dysfunction following treatment for prostate cancer. But most importantly, my ultimate goal was to create a program that would enable men to have a better quality of life throughout their prostate cancer experience. And this was how Prost was born. It was born in 2012 with the emphasis on making a safe place for men diagnosed with prostate cancer where they could feel a sense of belonging. If you get diagnosed with prostate cancer, no matter what your treatment, potentially there's going to be changes to your urinary function, your sexual function, and if you have radiation or chemotherapy, potentially even bowel function. Now, what's really important to know is the pelvic floor muscles are also responsible for our erectile function. So I always tell guys, expect to be incontinent and expect to be impotent. If we commence pelvic floor exercises from day one, we're actually getting the pelvic floor muscle providing blood flow to that area, and that's a natural internal vacuum pump for the men in themselves. And that's another treatment that men might actually need for their erectile function recovery.
Welcome to our prostate class, exercise class today. We're just going to start with a warm-up, so we're just going to start with a little bit of a walk around in a circle just to get some blood flow, get those muscles warmed up. So all our exercises this morning is just do what you can, okay? So just go through the range that you're able to do. Everything's to your own capabilities. Heads, shoulders, knees, hips, toes, knees, hip, cone. All right, well done guys, we're all warmed up. You guys feel warm? Yep. Yeah. Cool, okay, well let's get into our exercises now.
So we're bringing the arms up now. We're just going to start off with some shoulder work. We're just going to go 15 seconds of pressing the ring in and out. Just in and out, nice and slow. Whilst we're doing this, I just want you to start thinking about engaging through your pelvic floor. So lifting up the front passage like you're holding in a bit of a way, keeping the abs nice and relaxed, trying to keep your bum nice and relaxed as well. We're just going to keep our bottoms down on the ground. I just want you to press the rings in, and as we press those rings in, we're just going to lift up through our front passage and go nuts to guts. Try and keep your head relaxed on the ground once you get the idea of what's going on. Keep everything nice and soft. Ring comes in, and we just engage through our front passage. And whenever you're ready, you can start giving your partner a little bit of a shove and a pull. So we're trying to draw them off balance. Good hands. Alrighty guys, and relaxing there. We're speeding up in 3, 2, 1, off we go, 15 seconds. Well done, keep it up, good pace. And 3, 2, 1, slowing all the way down.
For some people, having a gym setting is not practical. They might be remote or they might just not like gyms. So we're going to show you a little bit of a body weight exercise that you can do at home, or you can do at the park, or you can do anywhere in your private place just without having access to gym equipment. So we try and balance the weight evenly between his toes and his heels, and I say push off through the middle of your feet and then use all those leg muscles to drive you back up. Now obviously we want to add in some pelvic floor to this one as well, so the same thing, we can use all those cues that we've been using before with the nuts to guts, blocking off that front passage, that kind of feeling of when you go into the toilet and halfway through you've got to block off your flow of urine. So trying to incorporate that into this really functional movement. It's the movement that we use when we're getting out of a chair, we're using it all the time throughout our day. The demonstration we have today, we have 6 stations, and ideally you'd go around probably 2 or 3 times, so 2 or 3 sets of each exercise. So we're going to demonstrate this in action for you now. So we're going to get everyone to start exercising. Ready, set, and go. 45 seconds, completing your exercise. We're going to get a bit of strength work, a bit of balance, a bit of resistance, and we're still going to get all that cardiovascular as well as we go around from exercise to exercise.
That's it. So as you get the hang of it, I want you just to start thinking about your pelvic floor as well. So we're going to be thinking about lifting through front passage as we push outwards and come back in. So just as we push, we want to engage as well. Lifting up through front passage like we're holding it away.
And push. Very good. Go again. And push.
Excellent work, guys. And around we go again.
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah, it was a difficult one, wasn't it? It's good for the upper body strength.
Yeah. And from there, essentially, we're going to do the exact same motion as before. So we're shifting our hips back. As we do, we're engaging through our pelvic floor. Bring the bar lower, and then shifting hips forward again.
Good. Last one we're going to do is a chest stretch. So we're going to interlock our fingers behind our back, and we're going to push them away from us, keeping our shoulders back. So really stretching out all our chest muscles, just so we don't get too much of a rounded shoulders and that hunched over posture. Especially if you're doing upper body exercises like push-ups and stuff as well, really important to stretch out the chest and upper body. For those clients with any bone metastasis or any time that the cancer spread into the bone, we recommend doing isometric exercise, resistance training. So Ben's going to show an isometric hold here. Isometric just means without moving. We recommend without going to end ranges of motion because you might be at higher risk of fractures. So this is the kind of exercise we will load the client with.
Just a couple of deep breaths there again can really just help to open the pelvis and release some of that fatigue and tension that you potentially get when you're training your pelvic floor and it's working so hard after treatment for prostate cancer. Good, relaxing through the hands. Just bring them behind you. In yoga, we always like to do a counter pose. So whatever we've just done, we want to do the opposite action to even and balance everything up. Going to relax our feet and just going to tilt the head back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and now press the toes down away from you to stretch the front of the ankles there. Just using your own hand. So this hand here, going through that leg, bringing the hand underneath the thigh. Good. Okay, resting your head on the ground. And now just lifting the head. Keep breathing and then let the head go. And we're going to swap sides. Not many men even know they have a pelvic floor. And so one of the aims is to teach all men that this very important part of their anatomy is something they should be familiar with. What we're looking at here is the bladder. Directly below that is the prostate. And directly below that is the pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor is like a hammock at the base of the body cavity that has 3 layers. So we have a very skinny, weak, underdeveloped muscle that we need to train to basically bulk up and support the bladder. Altogether, that squeeze, lift and draw in action I refer to as the nuts to guts exercise. So our whole goal is to make this into almost a superhuman muscle that is stronger, thicker and faster reacting so that any of those situations that men leak with can be addressed. If you get diagnosed with prostate cancer, no matter what your treatment, potentially there's going to be changes to your urinary function, your sexual function, and if you have radiation or chemotherapy, potentially even bowel function. So once again, we're looking at the bladder, that blacker circle in the centre, the bladder base here, and where my arrow is, that's where we're targeting our focus. So what we're going to very gently get Ross to do is his nuts to guts exercise. So we're going to start doing 10 rapid ones when I say go. Very gently relaxing the belly and the buttock muscles, squeezing the front passage and lifting nuts to guts, drawing up and then releasing. We just have a little look at that. I'd like you to do that, Ross, repeatedly 10 times, up and down, and I'll just keep moving my ultrasound so it's a little bit clearer to visualise.
Prostate cancer has given me quite a different view on the world. It's a very vital job that we do at Prost. The exercise is specifically focused on our incontinence and erectile dysfunction, which is a product of having a prostatectomy and of course therefore prostate cancer.
I think most of it comes down to kind of seeing the guys band together as a unit. There's a real sense of camaraderie when you work with these guys. Kind of, they're all going through something together, or have been through something and are supporting people who are now going through that same problem. So it's really, really nice to see on that front just the amount of support they give each other. And you kind of get to buy into that and be part of that all, which is quite a lot of fun. That comes with a lot of banter. But it's also really nice in that kind of you get to see the mental health benefits of it all as well. So you can see guys just completely unload, feel a lot better, and just not seem as stressed or as worried about what they're going through at the time.
I just think it's a really rewarding cohort of guys to deal with. Like they're really appreciative of the care that you give them. And then obviously they know that they need a bit of help and some tools with their exercise, and a lot of them haven't been to the gym before. So I like, I think it's rewarding seeing those physical improvements, and especially if they're on, you know, some kind of treatments and things like that, and they get better, and then that kind of ties into what Ben was saying with the mental, you know, it just keeps their chin up as well, and it keeps them that support network.